this computer. Okay, cool. All right, we're kicking it off. Weekly Sync 0. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to get started. I'm really excited about this group. I'm excited about our mentors, working with some new people. It's going to be a really great experience, but we're really, really happy that you're here. So we're going to kick it off with some introductions. Let me post something in the chat here. So we'll do name, pronouns. I know we've briefly met, but maybe not everybody was in the same meeting. I don't think everyone is in the same orientation. So name, pronouns, location, and then maybe what brings you to Collab Lab. And I'll start it off and then I'll pass it off. So once you've introduced yourself, then pass it off to someone else, please. So my name is Lauren Beatty. I live in, I'm she, her, hers. I live in just north of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota. I've lived here most of my life. I guess I lived in New York State for a while, but my family is close to here, so this is my home. Let's see, what brings me to Collab Lab? A couple of years ago when I was searching for a new job, I interviewed with Andrew at Zapier, and I ended up not finishing the process there and taking a different job, but I just kind of kept in touch, and they had just started Collab Lab, and maybe it was like 6 months after that. And so he contacted me and asked me to be a mentor. So I've been mentoring here for about a year. I think this is my 5th cohort. And I just really love it. It's a great place. It's a great place to learn and grow, and for all of us, really. So that's what brings me to Collab Lab. So I'm going to pass it off to Daria.
Hi, I'm Daria, she, her. So I'm located in Toronto, Canada. And what brings me to Collab Lab is I'm a self-taught developer. Learning how to program basically kept me sane throughout the pandemic. And I eventually decided to pursue it as a career. And I learned about the Collab Lab from someone on my LinkedIn network. And I thought that it would be a really great way to practice developing within a team and build those skills that would eventually get me to a job. And yeah, that's how I got here, and I'm really happy to meet everyone. And I'm gonna pass it to Abby.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so my name's Abby. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm located, I like to say Baltimore because people know what Baltimore is, but it's right outside of Baltimore, Maryland, in this town called Middle River. And what brings me to Collab Lab is that back in November, I graduated from a full stack web development boot camp. And as of like the last couple of months, I've been kind of trying to find my first job in tech. And actually one of the interview questions was asking about working on a team and what experience you have. And when I found the Collab app, I was like, oh, like this would be so great to like get back into working as a team and kind of getting that experience with like code reviews and stuff like that, because, you know, it's very true that when you're working like at a job, like it's not going to just be you. And like I said previously, it's so nice to like pair programming and not just yelling into the void like by myself. So I'm really excited to be working with people again.
Nice. Awesome.
So I will pass it off to Caitlin.
I'm Caitlin. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I also live in Maryland. I live closer to DC than Baltimore, but yes, Maryland. Maryland people, if you don't know, have a lot of pride in Maryland. So I've actually lived in a few places over the past few years, but I'm from here and have settled back here. So I'm excited to be back in the DC area. And then what brings me to Collab Lab, I finished a boot camp last year, and since then was job hunting. I actually found a job that I'm starting this week, so like double good news for me. So I'm excited to have Collab Lab to kind of help me as I'm starting out in a new job, like learn those skills that aren't really emphasized in boot camps. I actually heard about it through, there's a Slack community that Jono and I are in called Virtual Coffee, which is another like really, helpful, collaborative, nurturing space for people. And I heard about it through there, and it sounded like something that I really wanted to do was work on these kinds of skills, the soft skills that are not necessarily emphasized in all of the, tech industry, but that I think are really important for growing within the role. And let's see, I will pass it to, you said your name last time. I'm going to pass it to Karan, is it? Please tell me.
No, you were very close. It's
Okay.
current. It's like current without the T.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm Karan. He, him, his. I am currently residing in Guelph, Ontario, which is about an hour and a half out of Toronto. It's a beautiful little town. And what brought me to Collab Lab was essentially I got out of a boot camp that's in Toronto, that's based out of Toronto. It's called Juno, and I was basically networking, reaching out to a bunch of Juno grads. And there was this one grad that I really liked her vibe, and exactly she was like she currently works at this company called Loblaws Digital. And they're one of my dream spots because of what they stand for. Originally, Loblaws is a grocery store chain, so I never really thought I would get into development and be like, I want to go into Loblaws. But yeah, they have a really good digital presence. Anyway, so I was asking her, how do you get some like soft skills, as I think Caitlin mentioned earlier, and kind of like, and just working in a group environment, there's a lot of learning that you do in a group environment that I missed from boot camp. I've been studying on the side ever since I graduated from boot camp in October, but yeah, there's still I feel like there's a lot of value to be derived. So here I am, and who do I point to next? And I'm going to pass it off to Lewis.
Well, thank you. My name is Lewis. I'm he, him, and I'm currently residing in Sacramento, California. I work at a startup here as a software engineer, and what brought me to Collab Lab is since last March, I've been working remotely, and since then I've been trying to find communities to join online to keep networking and meeting people, since it's been much more difficult now. And I found Collab Lab through Twitter after finding Stacy on there. And so this is my first mentoring cohort, so I'm pretty excited, and can't wait to make this project together. And so I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan.
Hello, welcome to all the mentees. So excited. This is also my first time as a mentor. So my name is Jonathan. You can also call me Jono. I'm originally from Australia, so we love nicknames back there. I'm currently based in Seattle right now, and my pronouns are he, him, his. And I found Collab Lab through Twitter and also KitKat, by the way. So I found Collab Lab through Twitter, and the reason I wanted to do this was to be able to be a mentor and have kind of great experiences and connections with all of you people, like everyone. Yeah.
Cool. All right, nice to meet you, everyone. I need to really up my background game. I have an office, which is really nice, of course, but it's so hideous, and all I have are like 2 dog kennels in here. It's really not very beautiful. All right, Lewis, I'm going to pass it off to you for whatever you need for your presentation.
All right, you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. You think you need to enable it?
Do I need to enable it? Okay, hang on. One moment. Yes, you should be able to now.
Oh, I'm gonna have to restart Zoom.
Oh.
I need to enable my Mac, the screen share.
Okay, hang on.
I'll be right back. One minute.
Oh yeah, no problem. Curran asked me what kind of dogs. I have 2 big dogs. One, Mia, who is part Alaskan Husky and part, oh, what's her other thing? Bernese Mountain Dog. So she's very, very big and super naughty. She's a work in progress. Let's see. And then Lucy is our older dog. She's 6 and she is part Australian cattle dog and part Springer Spaniel. And so she's sort of a medium-sized dog and is like the best dog ever. She's such a good dog. She's so mellow and relaxed. And so she makes up
Oh,
for,
really?
yeah.
I thought an Australian cattle dog would be like on the ball.
I know. So, and supposedly they are, and Springer Spaniels are also pretty high energy, but apparently the two combined are very, I mean, obviously for her anyway, are just very, very relaxed. Yeah. All right, Lewis, here you go.
All right. So the first learning module we'll be doing is the Git Learning Module, how to Git at Collab Lab. And I already checked the repository. It looks like everyone here has added themselves as contributors, which is awesome. So I'm glad you guys are all set up. So today we're going to be talking about some of the basics of Git and how we can use it with our team. So we'll go over creating branches and switching branches so you can work on your own branches separately, and then we'll talk about how to add changes to it, make commits, push it up to the remote repository, and then also merging your changes with PRs. So that's what we'll be going through. And if you have any questions, you can either put it in the chat, or if you want, just raise your hand. I can stop for a second to answer any questions. So the first thing we'll talk about is Git terms. So the first one would be the repository. So that is basically the collection of code that we're going to be working on in GitHub. Our repository is just called TCL 22 Smart Shopping List. So everyone here, looks like everyone was able to pull it down and work on it and push it. So that's the directory we'll be working through. On your computer, that's what we call the local repository. And if you go to github.com, that is the remote repository. A branch is basically a copy of the code that's separate from the main branch. So the way it works is the repository will have a default branch. So for ours, it would be the main branch. And whenever you want to make changes, we'll make a copy of it, and we can work on that just so we don't have our changes going into the main branch and accidentally deploying code that's not ready. And then a commit would be a set of changes to that branch. So whenever you make changes and you want to add it to the remote, you would make some commits for those files, and then you'd push it up, and that's how you would add your changes to a branch. And then finally, pull request. Once you are ready to add your changes to the main branch, what we will do is we're going to create a pull request that will have information about why you want to add those changes to the main branch and what the changes do. This is specific to GitHub, and there's other services such as like GitLab, Bitbucket. They might have different terms for it, but it's mostly just putting your changes into the main branch. So this would be an example of how branches work. On the top, we have some commits. The circles would be commits, so we have 2 there. And let's say we want to make a copy of the commit. We would make a new branch, which will split it from the main branch, just like a tree. And we'd add our changes there. So let's say I want to add some styles, want to add some tests, and now I'm ready to put it back into the main branch. You would make a pull request, which would then bring all your changes back into the main branch. And if there were changes made to the main branch that were not on yours, those will be added in there as well and merged through. Sometimes there'll be conflicts if someone's making, since we're working on 2 projects at a time, since we'll have pairs of 2 working different things, sometimes we might have merge conflicts, and those can be resolved when we make the merge. And we can talk about that at the end of the course as well. So we'll start off with some commands that we can use. The very first one would be the git checkout. Once you're ready to start working on one of the issues that we have for the week, what we'll do is you and your partner are going to make a branch. There's a naming convention for the branch, which I think is in here, but you're going to make a new branch by doing git checkout with a flag B and then your branch name. And that would make a copy of whatever repository you currently have locally. That way you can work on it without updating that other repository. You want to make sure when you're making a new branch for this project, you probably want to make a new branch off of the main branch. So just make sure you have that main branch on your computer first before doing a checkout, so you can avoid any mistakes when you're making the pull request afterwards. So once you've edited some files and you've done some work on the branch, the next thing would be to stage those changes. Staging changes is basically just preparing files to be committed. So let's say you did a bunch of work on a branch for a bunch of files. Typically, you don't want to have your commits be huge. You want to kind of break up your commits based on what action they're performing or what functionality they are. That way it's easier to read through the commit history. So let's say I made like changes to like 10 files, but really only one of those files deals with like styles to a button, for example. I probably want to separate that into its own commit. So I would do something like git add button.js, and it would say that that file is now ready to be committed. But for any reason, if you ever want to stage everything that you've worked on, you can always do git add -a. And this will prepare it to be committed. So now that you have a bunch of files that are staged, the next thing to do would be to actually commit the files. So doing git commit will open an editor where you can write a message stating what those changes do. So for example, for that previous example where I edited the styles of a button, I would just do git commit, and then I would just write updated styles for this button, and then I would add that there. You can also do it in one line if you do git commit -m, and you can add a string after the command. There's a bunch of options for git commit, but the other one that you might use would be to commit staged and tracked files. So this would add all of the files that are staged from your git add, and also files that are tracked, like sorry, I'm getting confused with the git am. Lauren, do you want to explain that one really quickly?
Let's see, takes an inline. I never use this one. Takes an inline message, commit stage. I think that it what's the difference between staged and tracked files? Let's see, git commit comes with
I think tracked files is like any files I've changed, and you'll like, if you do a git status, like you'll see the files that are changed, and then the git staging is when it's ready for commit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so when you add it, then it's staged, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But you'll mostly just be using the git commit m. That's probably the easiest one for you to do to add your changes into the repository. And then finally, you made all your commits, but they're actually not on the remote repository yet. They're still local to your computer. So the final thing you need to do is push it up to the remote repository. And that's where you would have to use git push. If you made a new branch and it's not yet on the remote repository, because when you make a new branch on your computer, it's actually not uploaded yet. So you'd want to do git push u origin and then the branch name. If you do just git push, it'll come back with an error and it'll tell you what to do. So you can just copy and paste what it tells you to do. So you can always just use git push, and if it doesn't work, just copy and paste what it says, and it'll work. But yeah, you just need to upload the branch, and it'll also push all the changes there. And then once you've pushed your commits, your code will be on the remote repository. You can check it out. If you go to the repository, there's a drop down for branches, and you'll see your branch there. So since you'll be working with partners on each project, you want to make sure that when you start work, you want to pull down any changes that have been made to the branch. So that's when you would use the git pull. So whenever you're starting work or whenever you're making a new branch, it's always good to run git pull to get the latest changes. So in case, so that you don't make any errors with merging afterwards and making PRs. So this here is a picture of what GitHub looks like with the tab to the top. And the pull requests are the third tab. So once you have all of your changes in a branch and you want to make a new pull request, you can click on the button, new pull request, and that'll bring up a little form to fill out. And it'll also show you all the changes that have been made on the branch that you want to make a pull for. And sometimes when you're doing a pull request, or if you're merging content into another branch, you might come up with merge conflicts, like I mentioned before. So since you are working in pairs, this might happen, where, for example, one person made some code edits, the same exact line that you made code edits to. And it'll show something like this inside of your code editor with the changes that you have and the changes that the remote repository has. Just make sure to check these, and because you can actually commit and push these, and it would probably throw a huge error in your code afterwards. So if you do see something that says like merge conflicts could not be resolved, just make sure to go to the file, and you'll see like these brackets there showing you what are the changes that couldn't be merged, and just to fix the conflicts before you push up your changes. There's a helpful guide in the slide deck that you can also look at. And you can also message us on Slack too. If you ever have questions about merging changes or conflicts, we can always help go through that with you. So this slide deck also has Git documentation. It has tutorials. You can also use Google and Stack Overflow. If you have any questions, there's a ton of resources out there, and we also have us. We have our Slack channel, and I check it pretty frequently. So if you ever have issues with anything, you can definitely reach out on the Slack channel. We'd definitely be happy to help out. And I think that is the learning module.
Cool. Yeah, know that we do end up getting quite a number of merge conflicts just because the project is not really huge and we end up working in the same files quite a bit. So we're always there to help walk through merge conflicts. But there's a tool that I use in particular, and I'll post a link to it in Slack, but it's called Git Lens. If you use VS Code, it's just super, it makes merging those conflicts just a lot easier, makes it a little more intuitive. I think it's helpful for me. But what questions do you have?
I think that was really clear. Thank you, Lewis, for walking us through that.
Nice. What was I going to say? So further down the line, we'll go through code review, and we'll walk a little bit more through how to do, like walking through making pull requests and that kind of thing. So you'll get more familiar with like the Git online interface too. So we'll do further learning modules on those kinds of things later down the line. Awesome. And then Lewis, can you post the link to your slides in the channel, and then we can have those resources. Cool.
Also, there are some GitHub GUIs. I think there's like GitHub app that you can download. So if you don't want to make command line commands or prompts, you can always use that, and it'll have like a nice little layout where you can make your changes in a form and stuff like that. So you can check that out as well on GitHub.
Yep. Awesome. All right. I think we're ready to look at our work for this coming week. So excited. Okay, so pairs, if you look in the project brief markdown file in the repo, it'll show what your pairings are for the entire project. But this week, Daria and Curran are working together, and then Caitlin and Abby are working together. Woohoo. So let's look at, again, so the project is in the projects tab, and we go through the user stories in order. So this week we'll be doing user story 1 and user story 2. User story 1 is, as a component, I want to be able to read from and write to the Firestore database so that users can persist information. So this is one of 2 stories that should be completed in the first week to enable further development of the app. And the acceptance criteria, or the AC, the following have been added as project dependencies: Firebase and React Firebase hooks. The next one is make a change in Firestore database, and it shows up in the app, and then make a change in the app and it shows up in the Firestore database. Yes, I saw that it's like Team Canada and Team Maryland. That is so funny. That is really unusual. I've never had a team where people are so like located in the same places. Very interesting. Okay, so that's the first issue. So this is more Firestore focused. And then the other is focused more on routing in the front end. So as a user, I want to be able to navigate between the list view and the add an item view so that the interface is clearly delineated between viewing and adding. Again, this is one of the 2 stories that really just helps us get set up. So we'll have routes set up and then we'll be able to connect to the database, and this will set us up for the future. The AC for this particular issue, React Router DOM, has been added as a project dependency. Links are present and persistent at the bottom of the app, one for the list view and the other for add an item view. When one of the links is clicked, the browser URL updates, right? The URL should update when you click on a link to represent the current view, and a matching view component is displayed. Whichever view is selected, the corresponding link should display in bold text. So let me give some caveats ahead of time about any UI work that we're doing right now. Much later on in the project, we'll be adding styles and making everything look really polished and coherent and like have a brand. But for right now, you really don't have to add a lot of styles, only what's really just do the bare minimum to what meets the acceptance criteria. Because it's really in the last 3 weeks that we work on the design side of things. And you don't want to have put in too much work in styles going into it and then just have to rip them out at the end. So don't spend a ton of time making everything look just amazing, right? The text should be bold if the link is clicked and you're on that particular page. And then the only other style thing is that links are present and persistent at the bottom of the app. So that'll be some CSS to write. And then one other thing I should say is really like we want your time working with the Collab Lab to be super sustainable. So if it really meet the bare minimum of the AC, meet the AC, and then that's it. Don't feel like you have to push beyond that, because we want your time is valuable to you. We don't want you really spending more than 5 hours a week on Collab Lab stuff, because everybody is busy too with other things, right? So just know that going in there, really read and understand the acceptance criteria, and then meet those criteria and don't feel like you have to push beyond that. So right now, what questions do you have about those 2 issues? Let me see if I can put them side by side here.
Does Firestore, is that pretty much, does it work like Firebase? Because or do they just sound the same?
It is Firebase.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Has everyone had a chance to connect? Like, have you gotten the email to connect and you're able to get there?
Oh, to Firestore?
Yeah.
I might have. Let me just check.
Okay, because you'll need to, like, you need to have access to it in order to be able to work in it. Let's see. Daria, were you able to connect?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and Abby? Yep, and Caitlin, I saw was nodding. And then, okay, so questions? Any questions? And for the, let's see, for the first issue for linking up with the Firestore database, again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to make a shopping list at this point. You could have like maybe an input on one of the pages and you click a button and it sends that, whatever that value is, and stores it in Firestore. It doesn't have to be super, super fancy. For the pairs, which issue would you like to work on?
I mean, I don't want to speak for my teammate, but
You're good. I don't have a preference.
just because like I feel like I have more experience in front end, it would be nice. Like I want to get experience in what like I don't have, so I'd be down to do the first one, kind of setting up the Firestore database.
Sounds good. Karen and Daria, how
I'm
does
good with that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That sounds good. Well, you'll all get a chance to work on both sides of the app, so that sounds good. All right, Caitlin and Abby will take issue 1. In the project, could you assign yourself to your issue? So if I scroll down, I'm here in the project, here's issue 1, and then there's this assignees field. If you just click on the cog, it will assign you. You can put your name in there and it'll assign you. And then go ahead and throughout the week, as you are moving through all of the stages, like you can drag it to in progress, and then you can drag it to like when it's ready for code review, you can drag your card to ready for peer review, etc.
That makes sense. I like that. Yeah, very simple.
It's just like working on a software team, we use various systems to track our work. This is one system that teams use, or Jira. This is something that you'll do a lot when you're working on a software team. Excellent. Okay, and then, all right, we should make branches. So let's start with the issue 1 pair. So who wants to create the branch? I'll actually have you share your screen, and then we'll just walk through creating a branch together, just so you all feel get the practice with Git, and we know that you're set up for success for the week.
I can do. Abby, do you want to do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Minimize my multiple tabs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can totally do it too if you don't want to. I don't mind.
I'll do it. I'll face my fears. I feel like I always like that. It was like the scariest thing in like boot camp for me. I'm like, oh no, what do I have on my computer at that thing?
Oh yeah.
Not like I have anything interesting on my computer. It's just like 50 tabs, so it's fine. Okay. It's been a while.
Corinne, did you see that email?
I can't find the email. I'm not sure if I accidentally deleted it or what.
I'll have, I don't think that I can invite you. Jonathan, maybe you can, do you still have access like as an owner?
Yeah, let me check.
Jonathan.
Thank you.
If you go to firebase.com, if you try looking for the project, it might be there. You might not need the email, because I see your email address is there.
Oh. Okay, and then why don't you run a git status, Abby, just to make sure. Okay, and then have you pulled the latest from main?
I have not. Okay.
Already up to date. All right.
So
And create a new branch.
You're absolutely correct. I do have it in my Firebase. Thank you.
Oh, nice. That's great. Great, great, great.
oh, create. Is it that I literally was just
So git checkout B.
Dash B. Perfect, right? And then we do like put your initials, dash,
CF.
Floyd, right?
Sorry, yeah, F sounds like a lot of letters.
okay.
Dash, short description.
Oh no, I already made it.
Oh, that's fine. You can keep it like that. It's really not, there's no
Okay.
collab lab police. Okay.
So sorry, that's actually a question I have always had, but never had an opportunity to ask. You can't write over that message?
I don't know if you can you modify your branch name, rename your branch name? How can you do that, Jonathan?
I would just create a new branch off of it and then delete that branch. That's what I would probably do.
Or that's a great option, especially if you have changes in that branch. It might be worth doing that. If you have no changes, I normally just do git branch -m and then just put in the new name. So that will rename the branch that you're currently on.
Good to know.
Oh, let's try it. So you do git branch -m, and then do you have to put it in quotes, the new branch?
I don't think so.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my god. I'm sorry. What was it? The like short description.
Yeah. So then dash, or like put a short description, like I do that all the time. Just do dash Firestore. Let's just do that.
Okay.
Yep. Quotes and then enter. Now do git status. Nice.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Great. Thanks, Jonathan. And then we're going to push it up there. And let's actually do what Lewis said. If you just do, oh yeah.
Just type git push and then it'll give you an error. And then just copy and paste that line. I just did this because I'm lazy. I don't feel like typing that.
Yeah, that's also what I always do. Sometimes I remember, but then I don't want to type it out. So I just like tell me what to do.
Okay.
Beautiful. So now Abby should be able to pull it down. So if you're on the main branch and then you do, I just always do git pull, and that will bring down all of the branches that are on the remote. But I think git fetch, doesn't git fetch do the same thing? Git fetch also does the same thing, but I usually do git pull.
So I should do.
So now so Caitlin should try this one because you're good to go. You have the branch locally and you've pushed it up to the remote. So now Caitlin should be able to pull that branch down.
Okay.
Do you want me to share my screen for that too?
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. Which one?
It's good practice because we'll be demoing and sharing screen a lot, and it's good practice.
So you said fetch. What is the difference between fetch and pull? Pull just pulls everything, and fetch gets the branches.
That's right.
So yeah,
Oh.
so that's pretty much, so git pull is an alias for git fetch and a git merge. So when you run git pull, it will fetch the branches and then merge any changes into your current branch. And git fetch will just pull in like the branches or any files that have potentially changed, but it won't actually pull them down.
All right.
That's everything I have to do, right? Great.
Yep. Perfect. All right, Daria and Curran, your turn. Who would like to share?
I can share.
Great.
Okay.
It's good practice. I think that like sharing your screen on Zoom is like the hardest part of being a remote developer. It really is. It's like all of those silly things that you don't do all the time. Perfect. She uses a light theme. Cool, cool. Been thinking about switching to that.
Okay, so my initials, then Karen, and we're doing.
I guess you could do like routing or something like that.
Okay. And what do I write in the description?
And this time you won't have to add a description this time. So you won't need the -m.
Okay.
Yep. Abby did that because she wanted to rename her branch.
Oh, okay.
Now you can just do git push and then git will help you. Yep. Great.
Okay.
Perfect. And then, all right, if you unshare and then Curran can share his screen.
I have a question about the setting upstream. Usually if I make a new branch, I'll just say like git push origin and then the branch name. Is that fundamentally doing something different than setting upstream? Does that make sense?
I think when you're setting upstream, you're saying, okay, I need to create this upstream reference, right? If you've never pushed what you have locally up to GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, I think the set upstream is doing that, but I could be totally wrong. I could be making that up.
Upstreams are also used when you're forking a repository. So if you make a change to a fork, you want to push to the fork repository, not the upstream, because the upstream would be the original copy.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I'm just doing a pull request. Is that? Or am I doing the same thing?
You are going to try to pull down the branch that
I see.
Daria just created. Oh, cool. So you use the GUI. So this will be cool to see.
So,
yep.
Well, I was just gonna.
Let's see. I don't think that you have to clone. You have the repository cloned already, right?
Yeah, I already have it cloned. Sorry, I was just a little.
That's fine.
Okay.
Do you usually use the terminal or do you use the Git?
I use terminal. I'm just opening the terminal right now. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Whoa. What's that? Okay. So Git.
So first, let's check out the main branch.
Oh yeah.
Just to make sure. You might be there already, but.
Oh, like go into the main branch?
Yep, so git checkout main should do it.
Yeah.
Great, and then do git pull to bring down, if you don't have the latest, and then this will fetch the branches too.
Perfect.
Great, and then you don't have to do git checkout B, but you just do git checkout.
Because it's already made?
Yep. Correct.
Yeah.
And then
it was.
You can see the new branches that got pulled down. Yep.
Can I list the branches from here? I'm assuming I can, right?
If you do, if you type git branch, it'll list, well, that'll list the branches that you have, but you can actually see above in your terminal.
Oh yeah. I was just wondering, like from the terminal itself, if I could list it, but I guess the terminal will only give me the local
Not sure.
So
You should
Git,
try it out. See what happens.
Git B DT KK routing.
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
that's fine. So you do git checkout. You're saying git, I want to check out
Yep.
following branch. Yep, exactly. Cool. And then if you type git branch, it'll tell you what, I know this tells you what branches you have on your machine. So right now you have the branch.
My local Git.
Yep. And then you have the update cohort participants. I think, did you do a pull request for your adding yourself?
Yeah, I did. I guess I should delete that.
Oh, and you can do that by doing git branch -D and then update cohort participants. That's how you can clean up your branch.
Good to know.
Cool. And then if you do git branch again, you'll see that you just have the routing one and the main one.
Okay. Good to know. Perfect.
Excellent.
And do I need to push this, or was this exercise just me pulling it down?
Yep,
like
that
the
was
branch down.
just
Okay.
you pulling it down. So now you and Daria are going to be working on the same branch. So
Okay.
then all of you as you're pairing and maybe switching off pairing. So Curran, you will maybe, when you're pairing together, maybe you'll be writing code for part of it, and then you can push those changes up to GitHub, and then Daria can pull them down, and then she can work.
Okay.
So work on this.
That's clear.
Cool. All right. Question?
Can I unshare?
Yes, you can unshare. Good job. Good job, everybody. We did it. So we'll walk through this process of creating branches at the end of every weekly sync, just until everybody feels like, okay, I got this part. I know how to do it. I feel comfortable, right? We just want you to be able to feel like you're set up to work right away. Yeah, so I guess the next step is you want to work with your partner and communicate via Slack to figure out when you want to pair, like what are good times, like that there's that coordination. A really great thing to do is to create a draft pull request at the beginning of the week, even before you have any changes. So if you just put like some tiny changes in one file that maybe are just comments listing out the things that you want to do for the week, then you can make a pull request, and you can have it be a draft pull request. Let's see if I can find an example of that. Let me share my screen. All right, let me see. I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to go to pretend branch. All right, so let me go through that again. So here I'm in a repository, and all of the branches, you can find those here. It'll say blah, blah, blah branches, however many branches there are. So you'll be able to find your branches in there. Click. And let's say I want to do, I find my branch and then I click new pull request. And then if I click on this green button, this drop down, and then create draft pull request, and that will create, it'll say to other people that are looking at the PRs that, okay, this isn't really ready for review, but I want to put up a draft pull request, just so it kind of makes it easier for you to see the changes that you've made. It allows you to ask questions in GitHub. There are places to make comments. I will go in after our sync is done today. I'll go in and I'll make an example of a draft pull request in our repository, just so you can see what that looks like if you've never done that before too. So I would encourage you to make a draft pull request like right away on Monday or something, just to have that be there and ready to go. And then you'll see also what our pull request template looks like. Yeah. question?
So is that draft pull request used quite a bit in the industry? I've never heard of it. So I was like, oh, like, well, in bootcamp, in my very short period as a developer.
When did it come as a new, it was a semi-new feature? I think it's been around maybe a year.
It's really cool. I like it.
Does that sound
That's just
right?
one.
Yeah, 2019, February 14th.
Okay. Yeah, it hasn't been around for a super long time, and even not all repositories will necessarily, like not all projects will have that feature enabled. I love to do draft pull requests because it makes it easier for me to visualize the changes that I've made. I can go back and be like, oh my gosh, I left a console.log in there. It's a lot easier to see if I'm just looking in my browser than if I'm strolling through my files. And then it also allows me to kind of ask for help, like, oh, maybe I need some help in this area, and I'll make a comment and mention somebody on my team. It makes it, it just makes it easier for me to visualize my changes. I use it a lot.
You can also subscribe to pull requests. So if you make a draft one, and then your partner can subscribe to it, and they'll know whenever you make a push to that branch.
And the one last thing about draft pull requests, you can't merge a draft pull request, which is a big thing in the industry, because you don't want to accidentally merge code that's not ready. So the draft pull request just automatically kind of prevents that from happening.
Yep.
That's awesome. Good to know. And I love the whole subscription part.
Yeah, it'll notify you like when changes have been made and when you're being pinged, etc. All right, feeling excited? A little nervous? It'll be great. It'll be great. Collab Lab is a really great experience. We're here for you. Any questions that you have, just be super noisy in Slack. I will also, right after this meeting, I'm going to post some pairing threads in our Slack channel. And so use that space, use those threads that are specific to your pair to record any research that you're doing, ask questions, but use that space to organize your work for the week, and I'll create those pairing threads every single week. You'll see them pop up in the channel in a couple minutes. And then, we really didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about this during orientation, but every week, one of us mentors will be doing an office hour. So Jonathan is up for doing office hours this week. So he'll post some times that you all can get together and just like chat about the industry. You can chat about the work that you're doing, or really chat about anything, like being a developer, if you have specific things that you're interested in. It's just a 1 hour time frame that is available to you. It's not something that's required, but it's been one of my favorite parts about being a mentor is doing office hours. It's super fun. Cool. All right, everybody. Good luck. We'll see you in Slack. Talk to you soon. You're going to do great, and have a great week.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.